Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
John Marson
and Marcus Hurley.
You can contact us on email at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. Got some TV news here. I don't know, you sort of pitched this as a bit of a spoiler, didn't you, John? But it was they just released the poster for Season 6 of Game of Thrones.
I wasn't really sure whether I should say anything or not, but it's going to be everywhere pretty soon. So do you know about this, Marcus, yet? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, and I'm taking my remaining headphone ear out so you guys can discuss it.
Oh, it's alright. There's a certain character on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so. A character everyone wants to know about, blah, 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 blah. The usual.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear the word Season 6 and spoiler, it's only going to involve him because... Sorry,
he's the only one people care about, I know. Yeah.
Anyone knows
it's
about.
Not been written, so it's like, what could they possibly drop on a poster that would be anything else? But I mean, it's not completely blatant, but he's going to be in it.
He's got his shirt off, and he's actually a girl. Not really.
He's Khaleesi.
He's now called himself Ingrid.
Yeah.
Ingrid. He's dyed his hair ginger.
There was also a Daily Mail report where the Paps had spotted him. So, yeah.
Is that another link to the man in the high castle there?
That's a bit of a tangent.
You are talking about the Daily Hail.
Oh, okay.
So, we've probably all suspected that he would probably be back, I would say.
Yeah.
It seems like his character there's a lot more for him to do before he's allowed to die.
Well,
go on.
Sorry, yeah, you go on.
I just think he's going to come back, but it's not going to be under especially pleasant circumstances, and he's not going to have a very great time, really.
I had a suspicion that a character in the books was going to be adapted and changed. And I didn't mention, I think I mentioned it in the last Game of Thrones sort of thing, end of season kind of podcast we had. And I'm not going to try and say, just in case it happens and it'll piss me off, but there's a character that hasn't been used in the books yet. And they said they wouldn't be using them because it would have meant the return of one of the characters from seasons past. And
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
Zombie Ned.
I'm thinking, no, yeah, Mr. Ed. Yeah. But I got a sneaky suspicion that they might be using elements of that character to forge a new one and take the series in their own way.
Do you think he's going to come back as, like, double hard, and then it's going to be him versus the Mountain at some point?
Funny you should say that, because the character's name did have a certain hardness to it, but...
yeah,
but I'm not going to say anymore.
I know what you're getting at.
Rob knows, but I'm not going to say anything.
Rock
well, yeah, that
was
Macca
my suspicion for Sansa. But
yeah, Macca told me all about that, and it was like... kind of didn't want to know, but he was like, I don't think they're going to use it, so whatever.
Yeah, but I thank you, Macca.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently there was some concern that it was going to miss April because they hadn't announced the air date for it, but it is going to be back in April, so we don't have to worry about that. So yeah, not long really, only 13 weeks until we get more.
To a dose.
Oh no, it's a bit longer than that. But anyway, not too long. Not too many more weeks to count.
So how do we think he's coming back then? The Red Witch?
I think the Red Witch
it's got to be Melisandre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Melisandre is going to resurrect him.
Well, she's got nothing now. You know, her whole army's gone. She's got no protection. she's got nothing. She's got no followers, no believers.
She needs a new king
because
to serve.
she burned Sansa's daughter at the stake. She's got no followers. His army's decimated. What does she have?
There was also some foreshadowing last season where she was giving it the whole "you know nothing," Jon Snow sitting on his lap and stuff.
And are you a virgin and all that sort of
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's kind of
the way it's going to go.
That it's almost too obvious, so it probably won't be that.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a lot more to it.
You know, it'll turn out that he's a Targaryen like Daenerys, and you know how she's impervious to fire. He's just got really decent resistance to bladed weapons.
Maybe. I've read too much, and I'm not saying anything.
He probably could have done with that before the events of the end of last season, John.
What, the resistance to bladed weapons?
Yeah.
He just heals up, pull your sword out, and he just forms back like one of those cut mats that you have when you're at school.
Oh, yeah. No, I know.
To be honest, it's Game of Thrones. Anything's possible because they're going off the map now, aren't they? So
yeah.
Well, one show that I hope doesn't go too far off the map is Preacher, which we saw the first trailer for.
Yes.
What do you want, kid?
It's about my dad. I want you to hurt him.
You know it's a sin just to ask me that.
I know. People said before you were a preacher, you did things.
How hurt you want him? How far do I go? Problem is, your daddy's a big fella. He's gonna fight back. Things will escalate. That's what these things do. They escalate. And violence makes violence. Makes nothing much at all.
Preacher! Enough!
Almost done, Sheriff. Is that what you want, kid?
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
It was quite. It was actually a few weeks back now, but I was quite pleased with what I saw.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like it's possibly not as batshit as I was hoping, but we'll see.
But that's the thing. There might be a red band trailer for it, as they tend to do sometimes. They sometimes bring out a teaser one just to gauge reaction, and a lot of shows will bring out like what they call in America a red band trailer, which will have probably a bit more profanity, violence, swearing, whatever. Sex.
It wasn't so much the violence that I was hoping to see. It was like the more supernatural side of it.
Yeah.
But I think that
I think they're playing it down on purpose, though. That's the thing, because that's a big
I think
element.
maybe they haven't finished the effects for it because it's quite early days. True. Apparently, it's not out until the summer, so we've got a way to go before it comes out.
I just thought that when you read the comics, they're pretty full on crazy, aren't they? And from that trailer, it just didn't really quite have that vibe to it for me. I'm just being a little bit cautious about it. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to hope
it
too
doesn't
much.
hurt to be cautious. Yeah, but that's available. I'll put a link in the show notes for that. We've spoke enough about Preacher in previous episodes. I could probably put together a whole episode about Preacher, to be honest, by the time it comes out. Anyway, talking of AMC shows, there was some casting news for The Walking Dead. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played the comedian. The comedian in Watchmen is going to be playing the role of Negan in The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's amazing!
Who I know nothing about at all.
Do you want me to give you
Is
an overview?
there any way of perhaps describing him without spoiling too much, John?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I don't think it'd be much of a spoiler to give you an idea of what kind of character he is would it?
Okay.
So he's the leader of an evil band of bastards, a bit like the wolves that you've seen. I don't know if...
But not the wolves.
Well, not in the comics, they're not the wolves, but maybe they're going to adapt it so that he is the leader of the wolves, because they've kind of hinted that there is a kind of leader for the wolves, right? They've mentioned it a couple of times, that, his rules and stuff like this. If you don't want to live by his rules, I think someone said. So Negan is basically, he's nowhere near as subtle as the governor. He's more brute force than cunning.
Right.
And he has shall I give you a little bit more, or?
Yeah. If you're really bothered, listeners, then please fast forward.
The next 5 seconds.
About 1 minute or something.
So he's got a bat, which is covered in barbed wire and spikes and stuff, which he calls
a bat?
A bat, like a baseball bat, not like a flying bat.
Right.
And he calls it Lucille, and Lucille is basically his girlfriend.
Right. Okay.
So he's nutty like the others. He does horrible shit to his followers to punish them when they don't obey him and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got a huge gang, which I suspect are going to be the wolves.
Well, would that be okay for you if they did that? If they kind of merged that in?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, they're basically the same kind of gang of people.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because they're kind of a bit ambiguous at the moment. They seem like fucking lunatics, but yeah, I don't know.
They seemed to have a plan when they were raiding the settlement, didn't they?
Well, even if it was completely psychotic,
they had their own fucked up set of ideals.
But they might have just been carrying out his orders, his wishes.
Well, yeah, I imagine they were probably brainwashed by someone. It would kind of make sense if there was someone at the root of it all. I think it's about time that Rick had like a new nemesis.
Well, that's the thing. If they're wolves, there's bound to be an alpha male, isn't it? And it's the wolf pack sort of mentality. And
that's true.
He's going to have to be. But yeah, I mean, my only experience of him has been sort of as what's his name, Papa Winchester.
Yeah.
In Supernatural, he was Dean and Sam's father for about a season.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he can be quite intense in his acting. So
yeah, he's got good presence. Like, he seems like he could be a good psycho.
He'd play Negan well, definitely. Good bit of casting, I think. And that character coming into it just opens up a whole new level of batshit for the comic. So hopefully it's going to be, it'll be good for the TV show, I think.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I just had a look at his credits, and I know when he's going to be showing up.
Oh, really? Is it going to be next episode?
No. It's the finale of this season.
Oh, that would make sense as a big reveal for his character.
Yeah, the next year. It'll be next year. But that makes sense because, like, timeline-wise, to announce it now and him not show up before the end would be like a bit of a waste PR, really. But yeah. Oh, that's good. So how far along in the comics does he show up then? Was it a while back?
Yeah, I guess so. A couple of years ago.
Oh, so they've still got plenty of slack then on that.
Oh, yeah, loads.
Oh, cool. All right. Okay. There was also an announcement recently that they're going to be doing a new Star Trek show, and it's CBS commissioning it as they always have, which I didn't know, but it was always a CBS show. But they're going to be delivering it via their streaming platform, was the notable thing, rather than TV.
Which means they might not have as much faith in it as one would think.
Well, I don't know. Streaming's quite a big deal these days.
It is, but it's also a cost-saving thing, isn't it? I don't know how you pay the costs with a TV show, but I mean, it's like the recent thing with our own BBC Three. That's going to be online and through streaming only because it's going to save the BBC, I don't know, 3 billion or something like that, a couple of million.
It will also get people to sign up to their streaming service.
Yeah. So it's both a pull and a bonus, I guess, for the channel.
Yeah, but anyway, new Star Trek. Apparently, it's going to be developed by Alex Kurtzman, who had a co-writing credit on the last 2 Trek movies. But it's not going to be like the core cast. It's going to be some kind of spin-off, I would imagine, because they don't want to devalue their cinematic offerings. I would have thought.
Well, that's the thing. Is it based on the JJ series or is it based on the original Roddenberry?
I think it's going to be in the universe of the movies.
But if you know what I mean, the Abrams movies are a kind of parallel world.
Right, yeah, because they can do that now, can't they?
Yeah. or is it going to be the original Gene Roddenberry sort of universe? Because all of those series were essentially spin-offs, and then they somehow found a way to tie them all back in.
I see what you're saying. So they could, for the sake of their cinematic continuity, they could just keep that as its own thing.
Yeah.
So this could be just a completely
another
different thing.
TV series, yeah, following on from oh god, what was the last one? Insurrection, Final.
That set of movies.
Right, where that ended. I know, because the new Trek ones, they're essentially a completely different branch. I mean, everyone's calling them Star Trek 13, 14, but they're not really related to the original ones. It's literally like a parallel
reboot,
alternative reboot universe, self-contained.
Yeah. Well, we've got another movie coming out next year, Star Trek Beyond, that Peg's written.
Oh, really?
And has some people in it.
Actors, that kind of
Idris
people.
Elba, he's in
nice.
it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing. And that's apparently going to be hitting their streaming platform in January 2017. So, not too far off.
No.
I've got kind of a secret sort of desire to go back to Star Trek. I don't know where, though.
It might have been one of my Facebook posts, because I started watching the old movies, I think a couple of months back. I started with the motion picture and then went on to Star Trek 2.
Not good.
No, motion picture was awful. I've forgotten how bad that was.
Yeah, it's aged horribly.
Absolutely batshit with that. Everyone was wearing really weird clothes.
Yeah, it's aged worse than the 60s show, I think.
Wrath of Khan.
Well,
that's still bloody amazing. I was messaging John as I was watching it. I just could not believe how good a film it still is.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a Star Trek day.
I mean, just put it in the Weta workshop, give it some digital upgrades, and slap that baby on DVD. Blu-ray, I mean.
Well, yeah, that's it.
It would still be amazing.
It's a shame that they kind of went a bit wrong with the last Into Darkness movie. And Abrams has admitted as much, that they probably played too heavily on the strengths of Wrath of Khan. Yeah. So hopefully Peg's going to take it in a different direction. Cool. All right. Also, I don't know how much you guys know about His Dark Materials, but the BBC apparently are going to be trying again with this.
Yeah, it's the whole Golden Compass thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
that was a movie.
I had a friend of mine who had read all the books, and when he heard that the movie was being made, he was quite excited, because it was, at that time, going to be one of those controversial movies where it was all about the state versus faith, state religions versus faith, which kind of happened in the film with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. But whereas all of the good people, you would expect them to have a guardian angel. Yeah. They had a familiar. And familiars are usually reserved for demons.
Right.
And so it was the idea of the church being the bad guys and people having a familiar as being the good guys. And so that was kind of part of the uproar. And then unfortunately no more films were made. It fizzled out into nothing. It had a stellar cast. I mean, Ian McKellen as the armored polar bear. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, I went to see it in the cinema and I was actually quite impressed by it. But
yeah, I just think it was one of those movies that I saw it and it was very well made, but I think it was like a 2-hour movie that needed a lot longer to kind of explain it all and embed the fiction and stuff.
But that was the point. It would have been a lot more films. I think there's about 5 books maybe.
So,
Not sure.
do you think it can work as a TV show,
Oh,
bearing
definitely.
in mind the effects budget that they might need and stuff?
I think you can get away with a lot of the stuff that you see now on TV shows with less effects than you need. Because
Right.
bearing in mind, a lot of that was just show and tell for show and tell's sake. You know,
For it being a movie.
a lot of the locations didn't need to be as CG shiny, you know, with glass and gold everywhere and stuff like that. And it was very much, you know, because if you do actually follow the set pieces of that film, one of them was an icy location, one of them was very almost like the wall, urban, gritty location a la Pacific Rim. You know, you don't need a huge amount of budget for that. You can just find an area and build on that. So I reckon they could get away with it. It depends what they do. Because BBC have done some pretty good series.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about like the last thing I saw on BBC that was like really impressive, like budget wise. I mean, I saw some of the Musketeers that looked okay, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it depends. Well, the Musketeers went a bit. Musketeers was going more in the fantasy route. It was almost like the BBC trying to do its version of Pirates of the Caribbean, but with the French Musketeers.
I think Ripper Street was
that sort of thing.
Ripper Street was pretty good.
Yeah. Was Peaky Blinders, was that BBC?
Not sure.
It was British TV. I don't know if it was BBC though.
Yeah, I'm planning on catching up on that. That's like the top one that I've missed that I'm trying to catch up on, because I think they're still making more of it.
It is good. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
But apparently the books were very good. I mean, they've been out for quite a few years now.
They're considered pretty seminal, aren't they? They're considered pretty seminal fantasy, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's all about how essentially God is dying, and you know, and the big war between people trying to break free of religion.
Right.
Which is a topic which is going to span the ages from now until people actually do, I guess.
Well, that's cool. I mean, and that's the root of all good fiction, is that it's got some kind of through line that we can all kind of identify with. You know, like Lord of the Rings had shades of World War II in it, and Battlestar used to, you know, air quite a lot of recent political issues into its episodes as well. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to sort of revisiting this and it being able to take its time. It seems to me like it would have a better home on TV.
Yeah, I would hope they don't hold back with it. That's the one thing. I would hope it's a faithful adaptation.
Yeah,
because I think it needs to be as dark and as possibly controversial as it needs to be. I mean, I've not actually read them, but from what I've had described from a friend of mine and from Sue's, it needs to be taken better, because she enjoyed the film, but she thought maybe it was kind of a bit too safe, for this lack of pleasing the studio and not being firebombed by Catholics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just think it asked a lot of the audience in the time it had to tell all that.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was so designed to be the first part of a trilogy that never happened. So it's a shame, really. But
a slight tangent. BBC have also announced that they're bringing Luther back.
Oh well, they've shot it. It's coming out very soon. I didn't include this just because I wasn't sure when this show was going out, but it's airing, I think, sort of the 15th of December or something like that.
Yeah, possibly, or 2016 if they don't fit it into their schedule.
No, it's been announced. It's this year, and it's in a couple of weeks, and it's in the States they're airing it as like a 3-hour movie, but over here it's going to be on over 2 nights.
Oh, okay, so is it going to be during like the bank holidays kind of thing?
No, it's like the 15th of December.
Oh, okay, so just before Star Wars.
Yeah, it's that week.
Unfortunately, I'll be watching all of the Star Wars movies before Star Wars, just to purify my mind.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Tuesday the 15th of December, and it's going to be 2 60-minute episodes, so I don't know if they're going to be a week apart, but I'm probably going to wait for it to be on iPlayer and watch it in one one go.
Makes
I think
sense, yeah.
like sometime over Christmas. Yeah, I've got enough to watch now without Luther hijacking my TV. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those shows where I think they're going to continue to make it, but it's kind of down to Idris Elba's schedule, whether he can do it. It's like Sherlock, like they'll keep it going, but it's just going to be like an event once every year or two. Another event that might be happening though, to end with, finally, League of Gentlemen might be coming back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, I think these guys are great. I watched a lot of. I've not seen much of League of Gentlemen. I've caught the odd episode back in the day when they were on, but I know that they've always had a little bit of continuity between episodes, so that they are telling stories. It's serialized comedy, isn't it? But I love their work in Inside Number 9, which was like 2 seasons of basically. Each episode was its own complete story that had nothing to do with the next one. So they get an idea and they just spin it out into a 30-minute story. And some of them are excellent, have cool twists and stuff. Not necessarily funny at all. It's kind of them exercising their more sort of drama sort of side, I guess. But that's really, really worth checking out. And there's more of that coming as well. But yeah, I'm up for more League of Gentlemen. Did you guys watch a lot of that back in the day?
Yeah, quite. I watched it all, I think.
I didn't really, but... Sorry.
and you did, and you didn't.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Oh well, so you're looking forward to more?
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, definitely. See a bit of Papa Lazaro and all that.
Yeah, see, I don't even know the names of the characters. I'm that sort of... I don't know. I had a friend of mine from school worked on something.
It will make absolutely fuck all sense, the new series, unless you've watched the old ones, probably. And even then, it won't make much sense.
They must be on, like, Netflix or something.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and revisit those.
Yeah, it's still worth a look, definitely. You might find the tone of it a bit odd, but it's funny. Oh, yeah, I know what I'm roughly letting myself in for. It's super, super dark. I from what I saw. Yeah. Yeah, it is very, very, very dark.
This is a local shop for local people.
You're my wife now, Dave.
Awesome. This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can hear myself and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing Podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening Podcast. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, then please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye.